In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the best settings for Black Ops 7. We're going to be going over the keyboard and mouse settings. We're going to be going over graphic settings, audio, interface, all of that stuff. So you can copy whatever you want, or you can change anything how you want. But I'm going to be showing you what I believe to be the best settings. And if this video does help you, then please do let me know by hitting that like button. Okay, I'm going to start with the keyboard settings. No controller, because I don't really play on controller, but I do know my way around controller settings. But we're going to go down the list here. So I'm going to start off at keyboard and mouse. So at first, I play at 2.75 sensitivity with a 1600 DPI, and my ADS sensitivity multiplier is at 1.0. And then you want to click on mouse advanced settings, and you want to head over to ADS sensitivity type. Now this is personal preference, but if you want to copy my sense 1-to-1, then use legacy ADS sense, because this will make it that when you ADS, it does not change your sensitivity at all. You'll have the exact same sensitivity as long as you have it on 1.0 as when you're hip firing. This can be a good thing for some players, this can be a bad thing for other players. If I were you, just leave it on whatever you have it on, whatever you're used to. But if you want to copy my sense to 1-to-1, then you want to change to legacy. But one thing I will recommend is to go to mouse calibration and turn off everything here. Mouse wheel delay especially. Make sure this is off, and make sure these three things are also off. Okay, once we're there, we can go for my keybinds. I'm not going to list off all my keybinds, but I'll slowly scroll through all the menus so you guys can see what I've changed. I've got V on slide, for example, so I don't dead slide often. And then here are my combat binds. I've changed them up quite a bit. Like I said, this is all personal preference, so do it however you want. Although one thing I would definitely recommend if you're a mouse and keyboard player is if you use scroll wheel to switch weapons, please bind it the way I have. I have it so I have the first weapon to switch off scroll wheel down and the second weapon to switch off scroll wheel up. You can change these the other way around if you want, but please make it one weapon on one side of the scroll wheel and the other weapon on the other side of the scroll wheel, because this will make it so you never accidentally switch to the wrong weapon when you want to switch weapons. Definitely one of the best settings I've ever changed. I've had this in COD for like almost 5 years now. I would strongly recommend this. And then I have Q for switching to my melee weapon as well. If you're playing on keyboard or mouse and you don't have a dedicated button for switching to melee, then you are throwing, because this is super important. We're not on controller, we don't need to hold any of our buttons, so please do set up a dedicated button for your melee weapon. For example, I have it on Q. Q is usually your stun button, but I have my stun button on mouse 5, so I'm able to make that my melee weapon. And I made that my melee weapon because I'm used to that in games like CS. And here are my combat binds again if you missed it earlier. And I've also changed my ping button to alt as well. And my push to talk is on mouse 4. Everything else is the default. Onto movement, I did try playing without auto tag sprint, but I don't know, it's kind of throwing me off. I might turn it off, I might turn it back on. To be honest, I feel like in this game you really do not need it on because there's no tag sprint anymore, so I might try and learn how to use it again, but I tried it in my first game. I don't know, it just felt weird. I think I just got to get used to it because it is better to have it off so you don't get fucked over by sprinting when you don't want to. But I do like just constantly moving at the max movement speed and never accidentally walking for any time, so I have to experiment with this. But if you're on controller, I definitely would recommend keeping this on because mashing the joystick is not fun. But everything else, I basically haven't changed in movement. And for combat, if you're on keyboard and mouse, like I said earlier, I changed dedicated melee weapon activation to only dedicated keybinds, so none of these stuff will ever whip out my melee weapon. And you can also change what you want to prioritize for your like body shield or finishing move. So if you would rather have it hold on body shield instead of double tap and change double tap to your executions, then you can do that. All right, now onto the graphic settings. Make sure your render resolution is at your native res, so it should be 100 here, and whatever your native res might be, 1080, 1440, or 4K. Just make sure it is at 100. You never want to make it lower or higher. There's better ways to make it FPS better. Now for upscaling and sharpening, I use Fidelity FX Cast. This gives you the best visibility in the game because it sharpens your screen a lot more than any of the other presets, and you can use variable rate shading, which will make it so the edges of your screen render at a lower resolution, which really doesn't matter at all, and this will give you a lot more FPS. But do note that you have to restart your game when you turn on this setting. It will not be affected if you do not restart your game. So make sure when you're following through this graphics video, if you did not have variable rate shading on, then to restart your game once you're finished with this video. Obviously, do not use any frame generation unless you're playing campaign and zombies and you like frame gen, then you can use frame gen because it's good for that, but never ever use frame gen in any competitive game. It will make your game worse 100%. I promise you it is better to play at an inconsistent 40 FPS if your computer is that bad than to frame gen that and make that even worse. Yes, it may look smoother, but your aim will be a lot worse, I promise you. And if you're getting pretty bad FPS, try and use DLSS. DLSS is very good, but try to keep it on quality and put the sharpness to max. And CNN will give you better frames, but Transformer will look a lot better, so I would recommend Transformer. This is if your graphics card is a bit too weak, especially if your CPU is a lot better than your graphics card and you need more frames, DLSS is great. And if you're on 1440, or especially if you're playing at 4K, I would very recommend using DLSS if you need the extra frames. But if you're running at a pretty comfortable frame rate, definitely use Fidelity FX CAS with variable rate shading because this will give you the sharpest image. And make sure that sharpness is at 100 by clicking show more. Okay, and next to VRAM scale target, if you have 6 gigabytes or less, which you really shouldn't, but if you have 6 gigabytes of VRAM on your graphics card, then I would recommend keeping it at either 85 or 80, because if you keep it at 90, your game will start to stutter because it's trying to use too much VRAM than your computer can handle for having the rest. But if you have 8 gigabytes or more, definitely keep it on 90. If you notice stuttering issues, then put it down. But if you don't notice stuttering issues, then keep it on 90 because this will basically let the game use as much VRAM as it needs. Okay, now onto the graphics settings. I have my texture on normal because if you have a certain amount of VRAM, like I have 8 gigs of VRAM, this will barely affect your FPS. But feel free to put it on the lowest preset if you want. And for everything else, I literally have everything on the lowest. You definitely want to make sure stuff like depth of field is off. Any like reflection stuff will destroy your frames and give you very noisy looking shadows anyway, so it doesn't look good. And for texture streaming, make sure all the settings are exactly like mine. This will make you lag the least amount if you have issues with lagging, because unfortunately we have to use texture streaming unlike back in the old days. Shadow quality can go on low if you think it looks really bad, but like honestly I have mine on very low and they look fine. All of this completely off, all of this on the lowest settings physically possible. And then onto view, make sure you have motion reduction preset off. Arachnophobia mode is like, it's a personal preference. I don't even think vermin is going to be in this game, so I don't even know why the setting is here. They just didn't bother getting rid of it. And in field of view, you can either do 120 or 110. 110 will be good. It'll make you feel a little bit slower, but it probably will make your aim better in the long run. But I just like playing on 120, feeling as fast as possible. Definitely use affected ADS field of view, and weapon field of view, I like to put it on wide, but you can use whatever. It just makes it how zoomed in your gun is on your screen. Third person field of view on max and vehicle field of view on wide. Obviously make sure all motion blur is off and your first person and third person camera is at 50%. You can also invert the flashbang if you want, which will make it so that your flashbang makes your screen go black instead of white. Onto audio, your master audio will completely depend on what headset you have and what system you're on. I have mine on 30, but obviously this just matters to whatever you have, so don't copy me. But I do have my music on around 30% of my master volume, and dialogue volume, honestly, I might put on 50% as well. Cinematics can low-key go down as well. And for audio mix, I actually haven't changed this, but I think I'm going to use headphone bass boost. This should be the best for footsteps, but I don't think it matters too much in the Black Ops games. I've heard Sucker Punch is also pretty good as well. Just experiment whatever you think sounds best for footsteps, but I think in Black Ops 6 in this game, it doesn't really matter as much as it did in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. Make sure mono audio is obviously off. This will just make it so your left and right is combined and you won't be able to actually directionally tell where anyone is. You do not want to have this on. And the rest of this stuff doesn't really matter apart from the tinnitus sound. If your ears like hurt from hearing the flashbang sound effect or any high-pitched sound effects like that, this will help you a lot. And hit marker preset if you want to change it. Voice chat, I don't think I've even changed any of these settings, but feel free to do whatever you want. And now onto interface. The only thing I've changed in this menu is the telemetry. I have my FPS, server latency, packet loss, and GPU temperature on. Feel free to turn whatever you want here. It's pretty much personal preference. And on readability, I would strongly recommend this to go to color customization, set it to filter 2 and put it on world and put the world color intensity to 100. This will just give your game a little bit of more vibrance and pop. I would strongly recommend it. It looks a lot better. And as well as that, you can also change your enemy color to whatever color you want. I changed mine to green because I find it the easiest to track when I'm shooting enemies. I actually haven't tested this in Black Ops 7 yet, but in every single COD since Modern Warfare 2, I've changed it to green enemies most of the time. It's personal preference. If you like keep it on red, keep it on red, but I like changing it to green. And then for gameplay HUD, I always put my HUD bounds as low as possible. I just like it. It's personal preference. And then the rest of the stuff I haven't really changed. You can change your crosshair stuff here if you want, but I've just kept mine on default. I don't feel like you need to change the crosshair. And that's basically all the graphics settings. So like I said, if you are using variable rate shading, make sure to restart your game now so you actually get that FPS boost. And if you guys find this video helpful, I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe. We're going to be uploading a bunch of Black Ops 7 content, so please stay tuned. And I'll see you again later today.